Okay, I think it's fair to say that yesterday was an absolute flop for me for multiple different reasons, but we do have a little bit of good news when it comes down to things. Yesterday, we were trying to rack my brain out, trying to figure out how we're going to get actual edited videos kind of going in a way, and essentially, my brother came through with the clutch. Said, you know what, if you need some help, I'll let you use my Steam Deck. Okay then, that's a way to actually fix the problem of it, right? You know, I'm very not knowing how to use a Steam Deck. Clearly, I have never used it before. I seen him had it, but I never used it before, so we're kind of using that now. Also, did you know this shit is fast? Like, this shit is mad fast. This junk is ridiculous. I'm like, wait, is this what high quality feels like? I'm confused. So yeah, that's just how it is right now. So shout out to my bro for being an absolute bro. Honestly, I am not used to how this works. So honestly, there still might be some jank involved when it comes down to this video. I'm trying to see if we can try to move Koikatsu over, or if I can convince him to move Koikatsu over in a way and see how that kind of works, because he has like a Windows version of Steam Deck and I don't know how that works, but essentially, you know, we might be able to move that over, and I am extremely First of all, does Koikatsu even work on Steam Deck? I need to look through and see if that actually works. I need to figure that out, because I don't know, right? And I've never done anything of PC gaming before, so I need to actually kind of see what the hell is going on. But yeah, if everything works out right, you know, we might be able to actually get back in some shape or form. Not fully back, and it's still, you know, a hassle, but you know, it's some level of being back. Still would very much prefer a computer. That shit is heavy though. I will straight up admit to you, a Steam Deck is mad heavy. Fast! Oh boy, is it faster than my old ass PC, but it's, you know, heavy, and I don't really like to clunk around with it, but we'll try to make it work as much as we can. That's why today's video is not really going to be much of a edited thing. It's going to be more so like a rant, obviously, which is having to do with the violence now on YouTube. And apparently, I believe by November the 17th, we're going to essentially see some bull happen where I assume the algorithm is going to shift up again, where they're going to go after even more, you know, violent content in terms of games and stuff like that too, which I think we already, you know, feel like we've seen this pattern before with anything that is of a sexual nature, but now we're just seeing it more with violence. And it's like, bro, once again, we told people before, this is the type of nonsense we were trying to avoid. If people literally stop dick kicking around the idea of sexual content and how they feel about it for 5 seconds and just straight up defended it, you know, and let people have it, I promise you we would not be in this shitty ass situation. And yet we are in this shitty ass situation because people just don't want to do the right thing. So now basically all the people that like all the violent stuff, all the fighting games and all the stuff that goes crazy and things like that, they're gonna start complaining, and our ass is gonna be like, hey, got that popcorn? Let's go ahead and watch the world burn. That's essentially what we have, because no one wants to come in and chime in on the other stuff. And it's only getting worse from here. Now granted, they only said that, you know, it's gonna be like content that is going to be like extremely violent, like a ton of gore or a ton of blood and things like that that's gonna be on the screen or whatever. And granted, they have been doing that stuff for age restricting it for years and whatever, and that's not anything new, but it's just the fact that they're going to go back after it again and try to enhance on that issue, which really genuinely is not an issue. And this is why also I don't like a lot of realistic games. I don't like a lot of games that use realism a lot, solely because oftentimes this is going to get confused with like real life content, which obviously, you know, is not something that people want to see for the most part. But when it comes down to it though, it confuses the system of real life content of things that do happen. And essentially when it comes down to it, it's just like, yeah, now it doesn't know what the hell it's doing, so now all that shit's gonna get thrown out to basically the shadow realm of everything. But the question really is not necessarily like, you know, how what's going to be affected. It's really going to be more so what's going to be affected next, because things like basically GTA 6 is kind of jeopardized now because of this. Just GTA in general really is. Things like a Mortal Kombat is extremely cooked on this platform. Like really, this is what's going to probably lead into Mortal Kombat even more so, having a no blood, no fatality sort of options, which at that point the franchise is like extra dead. It's like it's kind of dead already, but it's like extra dead right now, and that's not a good time when it comes down to it, right? Then what does that mean? Games like Killer Instinct, a game from 2013, getting to be in the limelight. Does that mean because the characters bleed all over the place, even with different blood effects, does that mean that that's going to get coded in some shape or form or whatever? Like, is that also going to be a thing? What about like Street Fighter? It was some of the characters that has like really crazy violent like finisher moves that's in that game, like a JP or an Aki. Like, if they use those moves that you see on screen, does that mean that's going to get an age restriction, or is that going to be a removal of the video? Like, what is that going to be, right? We see that there is not going to be a strike on your channel for that sort of content, but more so age restriction or just straight up outright removal of the content, which is not very good. And then this even goes into anime as well. Like, what parts of anime is safe? Can you even show parts of anime where violent things could very much happen on screen, right? Like, is that going to get age restricted now, or is that just, you know, more so in line with realistic sort of, you know, visuals for like a game and visuals for like, you know, like a show or whatever? Or is it going to bleed into anime at some point? Because, you know, these Western people love to screw over anime for some damn reason. Hell, in my own story of what I write on here, like last episode, there was a pretty significant death that did show blood. So would something like that get removed, or is that actually not necessarily all that bad because it's just animated looking characters? I don't know. That's kind of like the annoying part with YouTube and really just anything that is having like a huge security system of legalness that is behind it. It's usually, a lot of times people love to put in a lot of vague shit, not necessarily telling you exactly what needs to be kind of looked out for. They'll go for the most vaguest thing possible to say, and then when you get screwed over by the system, they'll be more than happy to slap a strike on you, or basically be happy to, you know, report you down or some shape or form. And that's just how it is. It is the most single-handedly annoying thing that these platforms typically do, and just really just in general a lot of systems just do, and they just do not necessarily tell you what is the actual problem, right? That's how I was basically feeling when they took away my link tree and banned me from there, and did the same thing with the Kofi. You give me a ban, but then you do not tell me why. You remove the thing that I was working with, and then you do not tell people exactly why. And then the only reason why you probably can't, you know, take this to a court or sue them in any way is because of maybe some weird legal thing that they have in their website, or whatever the hell they possibly could have. And it's so shitty each and every damn time, right? But this is also, again, something that we have been predicted for a good minute. Like, yo, if it's not going to be sexual content, it's going to start going after violent stuff. And lo and behold, it is now going after violent stuff. And most people, I would assume, is going to be pretty damn pissed about this when they start taking into effect. Like, what we can't show like fighting games anymore, or stuff like that. Yeah, maybe instead of playing the fighting game and ignoring everything else, how about you join in and actually start voicing your opinion on certain problems? That is basically what we're constantly having to deal with. Like I said before, this is not a news channel. I'm not going to talk about the news all the day time, but at the same time, when things are bad and you should talk about certain things, this is one of those moments where it's like, yeah, you might need to use your platform to say something, because if you don't say something, you look very crazy right now, and that's just how it is. Let's go back in order of all the stuff that has kind of happened. First, it really started off with anime, and then the subsection of anime, which is the lolicon section. Nobody helped defended it, so they got hoed. Then the furries came through, and then they got hoed when it comes down to it in certain ways. Now it's coming after all sexual content, and then no one wanted to defend that, and now they got hoed. And now it's going to violent games, and watch this, nobody's going to basically be able to defend this shit anymore. And then the fighting games and basically anything that's violent in nature when it comes down to fictional content is going to get hoed. And at the same time, while each group basically is going through their own trial of stuff that's going down, we're all just chilling, sitting here, eating popcorn, watching the next group suffer. That is essentially what we have here. That is the basics of what we got, because no one wants to basically join force and chime in and be like, all right, this is some weak shit. This is not it. We're getting cooked in 5 different areas here, and this is not necessarily all that great. And you know what the crazy thing is? There is a million different ways of how this shit can still get worse. I don't know what those ways are, but it can always get worse. There is never a moment where things can get better too much. It can always only get worse. And that is just the unfortunate fact that we have to constantly deal with, unless people legitimately starts to fight back. We only seen 1 inch of fighting back, and that's Japan basically not dealing with, MasterCard and Visa and telling them to F off by trying to do instant pay, direct pay that they kind of have with their own new sort of thing that they're trying to set up, which is amazing. But that's one thing out of the 5 million other things that has gone effing wrong. Like I said, the biggest thing is with all these weird censorship stuff that's going down, we don't know how far this stuff is going to go. At some point, it probably is going to go affect, things more on a anime sort of style or cartoony sort of style when it comes down to characters getting beaten or just straight up just killed off or things like that you can visually see. Like, and then, if you're doing like a parkour channel, it's like, bro, you're kind of just screwed off the gate. Like, if you're doing like a fails channel, you're also screwed out the gate, right? Do you not know how many different parkour compilation fail videos is out there? I don't even like watching those because people get hurt so damn bad at times. But it's like when it pops up, it's just like, oh yeah, that's the thing that people do. High risk and no reward. Some usual nonsense of the usual suspects. And then essentially, your channel might just get hoed a lot because of all that sort of stuff that just happens, right? That's just how it is. That's just craziness. And then again, with what they did with August 13th, trying to hoe everybody with the algorithm, who knows what this might do with the algorithm now. Like, usually in the November time period, at least November of last year for me, late last month of that November, essentially the channel actually started getting up in viewership. It was actually like a lot of people coming through, and I never seen that before. And then when August 13th happened, it killed all my viewership, which is some nonsense, and that just wasn't a fun time. It really wasn't. And so essentially, it might happen again, where I would usually get high dips, and then, or at least I should say high spikes, but then low dips. At least it'd be like, oh, it's going super high, super low. Since August 13th, we're kind of in the middle of each. It's not going really high up, it's not going really low down, and it's like, that's not good. That's a bit of hoeingness, and now it might get hoed again. So what the hell is going to possibly happen with the algorithm again? Who really knows? Then at the very same time, there's also been talks at YouTube too that's also been like, yo, we're gonna basically get rid of some staff because we're gonna implement so much AI, our assholes gonna be looking like AI. And that's essentially what it's gonna basically be the damn case. So yeah, they're probably getting rid of a lot of people, putting a lot of AI in place just so they don't have to do their damn jobs, and that's just unfortunately what we're gonna probably have to deal with, right? It just, again, a very weird, very nonsensical ass time that we're just dealing with, and it's just the most cooked that we have ever been. This is why, again, competition is as important as ever, right? People would dead ass be looking at Twitch and be like, I'm not going to Kick because Kick has a lot of weird stuff. Twitch has a lot of weird stuff. Do you not see the bullshit that's on Twitch? Do you not see the bullshitters at the top of Twitch? The people that run the damn company? Hell no. I would still rather take my chances at Kick, even though it's a weird ass platform too, but I would rather take my chances at Kick versus going over to Twitch. Like, absolutely not. That is no way, in no shape or form, is that going to happen, at least as far as I would, if I had the ability to stream and stuff like that as well. I know people will very much point out things like Rumble existing, and while I did look into Rumble personally, I don't know how they like transfer YouTube videos over there, and it's blank as I don't know what as far as I can still tell. So I don't necessarily know how to go about all that sort of stuff. That's very much complicated, and I just honestly don't really like how the platform is kind of like implemented. So to keep it very much that, we kind of really do still need a competition, a true competition for YouTube when it comes down to it, because ultimately this shit's just gonna keep going until literally YouTube is in a situation where it's ultimately hoed in a weird ass way that no one saw coming. There's actually one possibility of where I think all this could very much go, but I'm not gonna effing say it because I don't want to put it in the atmosphere and then everything gets turned to shit because of that idea. So I refuse to make the situation worse by saying the worst option that YouTube could very much do. But yeah, all I can really say is get prepared to lose. We're gonna lose a lot until people actually start taking power into their own hands and doing something with it. Literally until that time comes through, we're gonna see a lot more losses and a lot more crazy stuff that happens where very small victories come through. Basically, my life from yesterday. That's essentially what we're gonna get, just on a worldwide scale. And I know maybe somebody that maybe haven't heard my takes before on a lot of things that just happen with the internet and people on there, but when it comes down to it, I know somebody is probably looking at this sort of stuff that's just happening with the censorship and everything, and it's just like, why is nobody really trying to unite or like trying to like get together so we can actually stop this shit that's obviously hurting us? And it's basically because people are selfish as shit. People don't care until it actually affects them. Basically, if you played Genshin and you saw the whole story with Rare in the recent patch, him making a lot of selfish decisions and really only caring for himself until something actually affects him, that's basically what we're dealing with. Too many damn people, no matter if they're good people, no matter if they're bad, essentially come through and try to act like, you know, we actually care about a problem, but in reality, they only care about themselves. Most people only care about petty ass drama for clicks and views. Other people say they actually care about stuff like this, but then don't actually like really press on it and actually try to, you know, bring people to actual awareness when it comes down to it, right? And if people that has the platform to genuinely get all this sort of information and try to put it out in front of people to be like, this is the shit that's plaguing us, we might need to do something about it, literally they will not necessarily do it. And even when people come through together to try to stop something, the bad part is literally no one ends up remembering like a few days later. That is unfortunately the a side effect of having a lot of people just around. A lot of people will stop caring after the first damn try, and that's just how it is. We did it one time. Alright, we did it the one time. Now we win. We win completely. And people this day and age don't know what it means to actually get down and dirty and fight. People don't know what it actually means to actually, you know, go ahead and box until you can't box literally anymore. No one knows how to really kind of go ahead and do that. And so basically anybody that's actually seeing what's going on actually don't want this sort of stuff to kind of plague their entertainment and just life in general, of just constant censorship, constant weird ass legislations and laws and shit that might get put into place. All we can really do is just hope and literally pray that things don't get nearly as bad as we're basically kind of prefacing this is. But with how people kind of are and how they kind of operate and stuff like this, it just makes you basically want to give up in just things ever getting better, just solely because no one is able to do anything for 5 seconds to stick with it and actually, you know, fight back, right? I promise you, if the collective internet, like every big player or at least a good amount of big players come through and actually we like, hold up, this is some bullshit, I promise you a change can absolutely be reverted in some shape and form. Hell, the only people I've really been seeing, and we shouldn't praise these sort of people, but the only people that I've really been seeing that has actually like done anything to showcase a point that not everything is perfect is literally when people hack shit. Like, I'm not even liking when people hack shit, but ultimately it's like the only time where you get to see like, oh, the vulnerability of all of these weird crazy things that don't look so damn perfect that a lot of these people try to put into place, because it's not. Essentially they're the only ones that's actually showing you like, yeah, this shit sucks, you need to fight against that shit. And ultimately, no one does. And so the cycle kind of continues and loops and stuff like this too. So all I'm going to say is, come November 17th or whenever this whole thing gets put into place for YouTube's whole, you know, like AI against the whole violence things or whatever, I am only wondering what in the hell sort of landscape are we going to see when it comes down to this whole environment of like YouTube algorithm in general. I am already terrified to see where this is gonna go, but that we won't really know until we actually see it for ourselves. So that's just how it is. But yeah, I just wanted to really voice my concerns about this again, like a lot of things I've talked about, and really just preface again that a lot of things we saw that people just join up together, but because people don't want to do that and they want to be selfish and stupid and greedy, we got to kind of deal with this. So that's just ultimately how it is. But yeah, that's really again all I wanted to say for this one. So hopefully you did enjoy. If you did, be sure to like, share, subscribe, hit the bell notification on your way out. Also follow me on the socials, and if you'd like to donate to the channel, Kofi and Cash App is available as well. And until this, your boy Jay, signing off. Have a blessed day.